They could be in the ride, but they ain't seeing my drive. You know why? Cause I don't care. I park the hoopty with the Porsches till I'm in the gorgeous Lamborghini dollars. They can focus on the flawless orchestration of my nation. I'm a native, you a tourist from New York to Japan. Roach in my hand, I'll be the hope of the land. You heat to open your glands, pinning your grand imperial stance. My killers got your burial plans. And we the Dutch master blunt passes. Never catch your lung cancer, son. Hit the trunk past the pump blast. Your dump forest, run past the dumbasses. I'll be in the front past the chumps. And it's gun claps for victory laps. Every line's a brick, breaking the Richter, make the victory laps. Picture me collapse, I run shit, now I don't limp. I ain't no player or a pimp. They wouldn't get the picture if I painted on the blimp. And I don't judge chicks, yo, but the thotty's getting one after one missed call. Cause I don't call it love when a dumb bitch fall.
Indigo, G, my body is so gold when I phone home. E.T. channeling all the Pleiades that's up on the streets. Beat clean wipe out, you getting a strikeout. Bringing my bike out, packing gas while I clapping lights out. Kawasaki skull lies on my dream cloud. And conscious causing a scene, all in your screen. Wow, we some G's now, bringing the flame when we go insane. All in the astral planes and send a message of change. We was born to war, now we done all on the jaw from the store. Telling you your purpose is to go and soar. Seek within divine and your soul gonna incline on your path awakening visionaries of modern time. I'm pulling out my non-blood white supremacists. Negroes in the White House, this is the melanin shift. Knife stick, pull it out the right hip or scarred back. Throw you on the cross, you a boss, now you ain't all that. Indigo G, here to awaken the people. Bloodline of a prophet, Muhammad Oz, I am the sequel. Bang.
Chronicles is cosmic. Pro Tools and Logic hits is seismic. We insomniacs.
Uptown, where you can find me at. In the 20 bag. Posted with them thugs playing CeeLo and cuddling Tommy Gats.
Sub Epiphany walking out the laundromat. Mindset, about to bring the army back.
That's a fact, cause I'm eating swell. The name is ringing bells, and I'm quick with the skills. These bars, extraterrestrial, ill as I drill. My knowledge all down your third eye socket.
That's what they get for fucking with the prophets. Voodoo curses, call the doctors, call the nurses. Parallel universes, walking through the depths of hell. Thinking of how cool a hearse is, reminiscing how blue the earth is. How the fuck can I
wake up in the morning day, wipe the cold up out my eye, thinking of a better way to hold it in and feed my mom. And I don't do the fucking drum, that come with that white lie. My soul is divine, pure light being I shine, I'm the most high.
I'm gonna be all you want me to be, 'cause I'm I'm gonna do all you want me to do. Don't ask no questions, won't tell you no lies. It's something that happened, it's hard to disguise. I needed somebody to take me away.
Peace. Bronzebird, welcome to another Brownstone Powwow. Black boys are increasingly deleting themselves in society. This is going to be a very important conversation only because I've been analyzing a lot of things for the past couple of weeks. And I think it's very important with us as men, we make sure that we get into conversations about the next generation coming up and just understanding besides all this crazy nonsense that's going on, like what's going on with Ukraine and Russia right now. Anybody that's getting out of Ukraine and Russia right now, shout outs to y'all. Shout outs to the Ghost of Kiev. The Ghost of Kiev is like one of these fighter jets that took down 6 Russian jets by his goddamn self. Like, that is some crazy ass stuff to me. Like, 6 jets by himself, he hasn't crashed down once. But, it's getting serious with this whole entire Russia versus Ukraine thing. Gas is going up. We talked about the last time on this channel about inflation, how inflation is being affected. I go to a grocery store, I go to a supermarket, and I see crazy things like whole shelves is like empty. And I'm like, yo, what the hell? But we'll talk about that another time. Today, I just really want to talk about how, I went over these articles and I've been peeping this for a while. I didn't know it was, because I know it's like when it comes to certain articles that certain reporters and certain people push certain narratives to make it seem like something is happening, but it isn't, right? So in this one, I heard this all the way from, I believe, about 2016, 2017, where they were saying so-called Black boys are increasingly committing suicide. And I don't know if I'm going to get like whatever for this channel, because I know it's like certain words you can and you cannot say. But let's just say deleting themselves, even though I just said the word, but just to give the perspective about what's really going on in this society with our young boys out here who feel like they're not loved. They feel like they don't have no guidance. They feel like they're not being, raised to a standard where they feel like they're being accepted. Like, they're abandoned. So like everything is like about, let's be honest, Black girl magic and, all this stuff is about them, but there's no Black boy magic. And so I decided to make this episode because I seen something last week on World Star Hip Hop, I was going to actually do a video on it and I was going to touch on it, but I did a couple of studies on it before, you know, coming to this like channel tonight with the presentation I'm going to come through with tonight. So I was just saying, I had seen it, right? So it was a 10-year-old who decided to delete themselves because I think about bullying. I forgot. It's in one of these southern states and they just couldn't take it no more. They're just like, you know, I don't want to be here and this, that, and the third. And, you know, I've talked to friends, I've talked to family. I've understood the whole entire backing of depression. You know, I've had my spells, I had my run-ins with that. And, you know, dudes that might have told me in conversation, they were ready to go ahead and delete themselves. And, you know, a lot of things we don't talk about, you know, is about the mental state of the so-called Black man. You know, are you good? Is everything all right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you straight? Because I know, like, the new age neo so-called Black community, quote unquote, even though, you know, I say so-called and neo and, you know, the Black community in quotations. I'm really doing the air signs right now. Because the narrative is different nowadays. Everything is just so goddamn liberal. You know, right now they're celebrating a so-called Black woman becoming Supreme Court judge. And, you know, a lot of people was ragging on her because, oh, she's married to a so-called white man. I'm not really surprised by it. I honestly don't care. But you have the understanding, like, this is all just giving more credence to so-called Black women and not so-called Black men. And what we're teaching our boys is that you don't matter. Nothing about what you do, what you go through, has anything to do with what it is that we're trying to push in this society, or at least that's what it seems like. And I say this all the time. They want the so-called Black man to be under the so-called Black woman, right? There's a lot of different reasons for that. There's a YouTuber I watch that gives more of a better explanation than I do on it, because I'm still studying and I'm still trying to understand the grasp and understand the concept. This is not about trying to promote the gynocracy and, you know, go all over that and all this other stuff. It matters about the children. And I think it's very important tonight when we touch on these articles, and I can open up the stream later in case anybody wants to come on. If not, then I'll just go ahead and end it. But, you know, my whole entire thing when seeing these things happen is that, you know, so-called Black boys in these schools, it's like, it's no problem for them to have a conversation. It's no problem for them to express their feelings. Not everything has to be revolved about being scared around a cop. You know what I'm saying? Not everything has to revolve around all these different things. And honestly, you more conscious about being around other so-called Black boys than you are around cops, to be honest with you. And at least in my view, like, if you live in an inner city, you're more concerned about people that look like you than people who don't look like you. You know what I'm saying? And I just understand that. And so, you know, we're living in this era and time where, you know, the so-called Black boys are seen as debaters. And I really don't like that. I was just watching this like video today, and I was seeing how they held a panel, and they was talking about how does Black men exhibit masculinity. And I'm sitting here like, yo, what the fuck is with these dudes? Like, the thumbnail is automatically the thing that was just like, this is the new so-called Black community, or this is what they want the so-called Black man to be. And believe it or not, it was a homosexual. 2 homosexual so-called Black men. This is not about me exhibiting this quote unquote homophobia and this, that, and the third. It's not about that. It's really not. I call out things when I see it, and people get offended by things I call out. This is not about me trying to discriminate against someone and say, hey, look at you, you're a homosexual, you shouldn't say that. That's not my rhetoric. That's really not. It's really not. Whatever you're doing is none of my business. Who you fuck don't make me come is always a reference, right? So my thing about it is, it bugged me out, because where is those conversations with the so-called Black man that's ready to stay on the square just like I am? Like, I can walk into a room, know I'm going to say some stuff that's going to offend somebody, but because I'm so strong in my beliefs, I have no problem standing up there saying what I'm saying. And obviously they want to label you a progressive, you're far right, and this, that, and the third, and blah, blah, blah. But that's just not where I'm trying to go with the conversation. You know, like, a lot of people talk about keeping it real, but now keeping it real comes with a perspective about, why is your bias better than my bias? You understand what I'm saying? So I just, Let me read David's comment. Shout out to David. That's true, brother. And I have a problem being under black women thinking that they're better than me, which they're not. Right. And the thing about it is that I'm not gonna say that so-called black women are absolutely horrible, right? Or that because they have businesses and this, that, and the third, they're better than you. I'm not gonna say that. But you know, I'll touch on that in a little bit. But I was really watching this stream today. I was watching the panel, like it wasn't a panel like StreamYard panel, but it was like brothers sitting around a table, you know, cameras rolling and this, that, and the third. They're in the studio and this, that, and the third. Like, never heard of what motto? I'm not getting sidetracked, but never heard that motto. That would destroy the porn industry. Oh, who you fuck don't make me come. That's a common saying. A lot of people sit up there and that's a common saying. It's to denote the fact of the matter that whoever you're in a relationship or whoever you decide to have sex with is not someone I'm horny off of. Like I'm not stressing over your woman, man, or whatever. I'm not stressing over that. That do you. You know what I'm saying? I'm surprised you never heard of that. Okay. Why? Oh my. 12 always coming in here with some goddamn inflammatory damn comments. All right. Yes, it is. Yes, I understand pornography does that for men. Yes, I understand. And right now they have them damn Rose electronics helping women get them damn selves off, right? Like no. I know. It's all good. But getting back to what I was talking about, you know, I was watching this video today, and I was just like, you know, honestly, don't like it that so-called black men are having this conversation, and they're so just down to go along with this whole entire liberalism crap. And I'm just like, you know, I'm not feeling this, yo. I'm not feeling that. You know, as a so-called black man myself, you know, raised in the environment I was raised in, you know, being around brothers that wasn't raised with their moms raised with their fathers, or maybe they wasn't raised with their moms, you know what I'm saying? And those were the ones that seeked out actually getting a job or sought out trying to see a therapist when things got tough, sought out being around other brothers and being in brother support groups when things got tough. I honor them. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is that I just don't like that, you know, so many people want to talk about, oh, you know, yeah, you know, what does it mean for so-called black men to exhibit their masculinity and not be judged? And often the times is about being open, but then it's also about getting in touch with your feminine side. And then all this nonsense about like these so-called black men that are homosexual are usually involved in a conversation. And it creates a type of nuance because I didn't come here to discuss about your problems, about you finding yourself and finding out the fact of the matter that you're same gender loving and that you like the same gender. Like, I didn't come here for that. I honestly, sorry, I don't care about your experiences. I'm talking about the fact of the matter, you go through battlefields in life with yourself, like being depressed. Well, they would be aligned to that. That's true, right? They would be aligned to that. So I got to back up and say they would be aligned to that. But like, let's not try to turn this conversation into gender this and gender that. Like, I don't want to hear that. What I really want to talk about is like, yo, how are we feeling? Yo, we feel like because of this, that, and the third is going on, you know, we don't feel like ourselves. I think that a lot of so-called black men feel uncomfortable saying this, but we don't always feel comfortable with money. We look at money like we're afraid. We look at finances like we're afraid. We're like, who are you? All we know when we see money, when we get the income tax every year, we're going to go ahead and spend that on something. You know, certain brothers go to the extreme and feel like they have to spend it on some Jordan, some Gucci, and Versace. Other dudes feel like they have to spend it on this, that, and the third. But what comes with finances also comes with comfortability, right? And I like I said, I have no problem with brothers. Anytime brothers want to chat on here and have an open discussion about finances, I actually would love it if brothers came on here to have conversations about finances. I really would. But again, and it happened once. Shout outs to it's one of the brothers. I forgot his name. It escapes me, but he came on this panel and was dropping jewels one day. And I was like, this is dope. This is a conversation I want to hear. But anyway, my whole entire thing of saying what I'm saying, right? Like that conversation is like, you know, I hear this one brother who says, oh, he's a cis heterosexual black man. I'm sorry, it made me cringe. Like, why are you saying them dumbass fucking words, bro? Like, I don't want to. Don't you ever out your mouth. If I ever was to stream along something in real life and I have a meeting grounds for men, I don't want to hear no goddamn liberalism words. Now, if you want to call yourself just a homosexual man, pansexual, I guess, or like, you know, one of those type of things, cool, but like cisgender and this, that, and the third, I don't want to hear that dumbass shit. I'm sorry. I really don't want to hear it. I don't. No, to a certain degree, I do respect everybody's opinion and what is it that you have to say. But to me, it's just like, cis, really, bro? Cis hetero? And going against the stereotypical norms of a man and this, that, and the third. We men, we have certain codes that we abide by. Like next week, I'm going to be talking about the barbershop talk, right? Because now I feel like there's a deplatforming in a whole entire it's like a desensitivity of the barbershop. Now they're popularizing the barbershop thing and being like, you know, yeah, what about the barbershop? The barbershop. The barbershop is sacred. I understand that when it comes to men, they say some very outlandish shit when it comes to being in the barbershop. I know this because I go to the barbershop. I've been to the barbershop. I've been around brothers that's older than me cutting my hair, or I'm sitting in there in conversation there talking about things. Me, I grew up one that didn't really care for sports. So it was hard for me to have conversation with dudes that was talking about the Knicks and the Nets and talking about the LA Lakers or talking about Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, Michael Jordan, and this, that, and the third, because I just didn't understand it because I'm not into sports. Just like I'm not into football. I'm just not into sports. I'm a so-called black man that's not into sports. I didn't like getting into those conversations. I didn't like, you know what I'm saying? But I would sit around and hear brothers talk about other things. We would be talking about a lot of different things that's Sorry, y'all. Sorry again. Okay. So we would talk about a lot of different things that so-called black men are going through. Political stuff, like, you know, back in 2008 when Obama got elected as president, you know, brothers was in a barbershop, like, what's going to happen for the black man? You know what I mean? These conversations is necessary. But then, of course, so-called black men, women that is executive producers, they like that show Harlem, for instance. When I had watched that clip and when I put it on here so that we can dissect it, they take the negatives of what it's like to be in a barbershop and they say, well, this is what the barbershop culture is. And it's like, you don't know the barbershop culture. You don't understand what it is for so-called black men that understand the barbershop culture. And I know it's uncomfortable for mothers to come in a barbershop because you're around a bunch of men. This is like our locker room talk. This is like where we talk and get our shit off and be able to have open dialogue. Now, certain things have to be restricted because it's a public but not public space when you go to the barbershop. So certain things is off limits. Like, you're not going to talk about your sex life in a barbershop. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to really talk about, you know, all these crazy ass nights and this, that, and third. You're going to kind of keep it PG. Or I would hope that you keep it PG. But you understand, it's still a great mixture of Negroes and upstanding so-called black men. That's where everything blends together for the so-called black man to have a conversation. Why is this important? Now, getting into the conversation about depression and getting into the conversation about deleting oneself, I'm trying to understand the so-called black boy's mind of today. I can take my trips into what it was like for me growing up as a so-called black boy. What is it that I encountered? These different things, like being ousted and lambasted by, you know, principals that told me I ain't gonna be shit, right? You know, it's personal, but fuck it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to name them, but, you know, certain trials and tribulations I've went through as a young so-called black boy, right? Things that I didn't expect, you know, like always trying to make sure that I was doing what I had to do. And so how easy it is in these schools that the so-called black boy is so applicable to begin suspended instead of being disciplined. You know, they had certain programs for us as boys, you know what I'm saying, that we would go to games or we would learn how to tie a tie. We would learn how to go in an interview. We would know how to conduct ourselves. I've been through those trials and tribulations where the so-called white people would sit up there and say that I'm articulate and I say my words well and that I'm well-mannered and this, that, and the third. Like, you're just a good little old Negro boy with a nice little hat on and a slave chain around your goddamn neck. Okay? I went through many trials and tribulations as a so-called Black boy, but honestly, sitting in the place where I am now, I'm happy for those experiences. And so why I care, because the fact of the matter is there's so many boys that's feeling like, I don't want to live, where's those conversations in the home? Like, are you okay? Like, I understand us as boys, we go out when we get a certain age, we're like, be safe with the police officers and this, that, and the third, and blah, blah, blah. And we're taught fear before we're taught excellence. We're taught to just be afraid and be cautious of all our surroundings, but we're not taught, hey, you know what? Why don't you be happy for this? Why don't you be happy for that? You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those sort of things that kind of nag at me. Like, I get it, but like, why do I have to live my life in fear? Because of the color of my skin, which is brown. Why? Why can't I just feel happy in the skin that I'm in and just celebrate the fact of the matter that I'm here for a reason? And once I learn my real history, how prouder I become because I learned the real history of who I am. See, I'm tired of the slave narrative. I'm tired because that comes into the subconscious mind of the boy. And that boy believes when they grow up, no matter what I do, I'm always going to be looked at as a slave. No matter what I do, I'm always going to be looked at like I don't amount to anything. Last hired, first fired. I shouldn't have to get a business, or I'm living in these conditions. I'm living in a project, so I'm living in Section 8. Or maybe I am living in a two-parent household with my parents, but, they have me in public school, these schools where I'm still being rectified as something related to slavery, or just not always coming up short when it comes to living in America. You understand? And that, it's automatically comes this fight of competition and saying, oh, well, the Hispanic people can come over here and get something, but you can't. You don't do it. You Black men don't do nothing. You Black boys don't amount to shit. And it's just like, come on, bro. Like, yes, JMANz, we got to stick together for the nation, because if we don't fight, nobody will. You know what I'm saying? That's why I have to get. I might. You soften me up these days, JMANz. I don't know. You still in the Peak Nation, so we might have to sign a contract. You might have to tan a little bit so you could be accepted. But we'll talk about it later, JMANz. We'll talk about it later. And also tonight, on a serious note, because I see some of what y'all comment in the comment section, this is going to be an open forum for you guys to talk about your experiences. And if you don't feel comfortable with me or anybody knowing it on here on this panel, I can always make this stream private in case you guys don't really want to go there. But this is a night for you because, I'm starting to see with us as men, like, this is a bad look for us, yo. Like, I want to know what's the reason why we're not feeling our greatest and why we feel like we have to be deleted off this earth to find some type of solace, right? And then I see stuff like, it's, what is it, like a 37%, 10%, something like that. It's always these percentages where it's increasing. And I'm like, whoa. Did it have to deal with the pandemic? Was it that? Like, what was it that made boys specifically, because girls was going through this too. I think statistics said about 20 to 30% of so-called Black girls was also committed suicide. Also, there's so many statistics of boys and girls just like deleting themselves, and it's just like really sad to hear that, because I would never have thought. Back in my day, I'd just be like, we're going through something, but everything is going to be all right. And the problem is that parents would just succumb to it by, I can't stand JMANz. I can't stand JMANz. I can't stand him. But I mean, like, there's, like, I'm thinking about it. Was it because of the pandemic? Like, what was it? Because the pandemic, nobody knew that this was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody knew that this whole entire thing was going to come in and that it was going to be just like quarantining, quite frankly, and frequently. And so, like, all these different things that's happening out in the woodwork, and just like, like, we didn't know, like, we're going to stay at home more. And then, like, parents was really going to have to deal with each other because they have to stay in constricted fine space now, as opposed to just being at work every day. And we don't have to worry about putting a mask on and taking the syringe and, having to take a test if we don't comply with taking a syringe, right? Like, all these different things matter now. And it's just like, okay, you know, and I would see clips like boys and girls will be in a class and, you know, their moms, specifically their moms, is walking around half naked, or, you know, somebody is getting back shots to the damn classroom via Zoom, and there's no respect. So the child is feeling embarrassed. Like, you know, why are you doing that while I'm here? And then you're yelling at the teacher because you disagree with a lesson that was taught. You understand? Like, those are the type of things that really bugs me to a core, right? And it's just that I just, like I said, like, I'm just trying to understand the mindset, you heard? So, I mean, like, I might as well just stop doing more talking, right? And we're gonna get to the lessons above, right? Because it's very important. It's very important we talk about this, because if we don't talk about it, it's like it's never going to be addressed. We're gonna be spending our time talking about women and what they're doing and what they're not doing, and we're not gonna get to where we need to be. So, all right, this was an article written out in 2020. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. You know how it goes. You know how it goes. I'm gonna share my screen. So y'all see that. This is from the NIH, you know. So this is written by Joshua Gordon, addressing the crisis of Black youth deletion. Each September, people in the United States and around the world observe Suicide Prevention Awareness Month in a time to help raise awareness and share information about this important public health concern. As director of the National Institute of Mental Health, I have made suicide prevention one of my top priorities. And although I have written about suicide in the past, I wanted to revisit this topic to bring attention to this critical area of concern. One often overlooked aspects of the rising rates of suicide in the U.S. and its impact on youth, and in particular, its impact on Black youth. Black people face increased rates of risk factors, including experiences of racism, higher rates of unemployment and financial and food insecurity, disparities in other aspects of health, and limited access to care, all of which results in an increased burden of mental illness in Black communities. Despite this heavy burden, Black people and individuals in other racial and ethnic minority groups have historically had relatively low rates of suicide. But this has been changing recently, especially for Black youth. As of 2018, suicide became the second leading cause of death in Black children aged 10 to 14, and the third leading cause of death in Black adolescents aged 15 to 19. By combining data from 2001 to 2015, researchers were able to examine suicides among children aged 12 and younger and found that Black children were more likely to die by suicide than their white peers. Still checking in if y'all seen me. All right, got you, TR, but that's in a little while. I just got to read this. All right, I don't, okay, let me just finish. The crisis of Black youth suicide is beginning to receive the attention it deserves. Congresswoman Bonnie Watson and the Congressional Black Caucus deserve credit for raising awareness of the issue and establishing the Emergency Task Force on Black Youth Suicide and Mental Health. Their report, Ring the Alarm, The Crisis of Black Youth Suicide in America, was released in December 2019. This report describes key research findings related to suicide among Black youth. Most importantly, it provided research, policy, and practice recommendations to address this issue, such as improving research funding of minority scientists and increasing funding of research focused on Black youth suicide and Black youth mental health. More research is needed on how suicide risk develops among Black youth and how it can be best prevented. Significant questions remain in terms of understanding and predicting suicide risk among Black youth. While some risk factors have been well researched and are clear, I'm not going to read all that. There are other risk factors that are less clear. For example, some research suggests that Black adolescents who have contemplated or attempted suicide are less likely to have been diagnosed with a mental illness. Another significant risk factor is access to firearms. Research points to higher rates of Black youth mortality due to firearms compared to other racial/ethnic groups, which is why we're supporting infrastructure to improve research on firearm safety for youth. So y'all getting the perspective here, right? Yeah, my signal's acting up just a little bit. I'm trying to chill for a little bit. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I hate when this happens. All right, we good. One factor that may be contributing to increases in the risk of suicide in Black youth may be disparities in access to mental health services. Black youth continuing to be less likely to receive mental health treatment for depression when needed compared to white youth. Rates of engagement in and completion of treatments for depression are lower for Black adolescents, often due to negative perception of services and providers and reluctance to acknowledge symptoms. Black youth are also significantly less likely than white youth to receive outpatient treatment even after a suicide attempt. Okay, the good news is that NIMH funded research has begun to point that the way toward better risk identification and effective interventions that can help reverse these trends. Implementing universal screening for suicide risk using the ACT Suicide Screening Question Toolkit developed by investigators in the NIMH intramural, I hate that word, research program can identify youth at risk, including Black youth, and targeted efforts such as school-based mental health clinics can improve engagement in mental health care among Black youth with depression. All right, well, that's the first one. So let me see what you guys are talking about. And you know what, David? At the end of the day, and I'm glad you're still here to talk to even talk to me. You know what I'm saying? Because not a lot of people feel forward thinking on having conversations like this. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm saying often when we neglect, you know, we're not trying to go through the motions and say how we really feel. We'll hide it. We'll just say, you know, nah, I'm good. And it's like, nah, if you're not okay, then you're not okay. Why deny it? You feel what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those type of things that just really, I don't like to hear that, because when you suppress your emotions, it's going to make you feel like you're not going to be able to conversate regardless, right? And that's one thing that, you know, I want to bring here to this channel, in which I really want to make it very clear that, you know, it's okay to talk. You know what I mean? It's okay to, you know, well, let's use it productively, right? Because I don't want this to be one of these type of things where, you know, we're talking all day about issues that's not important. You know what I mean? Like, especially because brothers will stick to the topic talking about women. I don't want to do that. Like, I really want to move towards a different light when it comes to things, right? So this next article, really quickly, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I just want to give you a synopsis of how crazy it is, right? This one is coming from Essence, even though I don't really dig Essence like that. This is more towards the so-called Black Women magazine. But let's check this out. I'm gonna read this first paragraph so that you guys can check it out and what I'm talking about. This is actually debuted in January this year. So check this out. Shout out to Victoria. When discussions are had about suicide, the focus these days is often on what's occurring with very young people, children and teens under great pressure in the age of social media and bullying. But what many fail to realize is the numbers that inform those studies go past junior high and high school age and all the way into young adulthood. And what's happening within the Black community in regards to this topic is jarring. In addition to suicide rates in general for people ages 10 to 24, in the US, jumping 57.4% from 6.8 to 10.7 between 2007 to 2018. According to the Suicide Prevention Resources Center, suicide rates within the Black community have been peaking during adolescence and young adulthood before declining around later adulthood, ages 15 to 34. Even more staggering, per statistics within the Black community, the actual suicide death rate for men is more than 4 times the rate for women. We're all going through it. But how much attention is being put on the weight Black men are quietly carrying? Like I said, I'm not reading this whole entire thing. I'm just giving y'all a synopsis in a view about what's going on, right? So you just peeped it yourself. 57%. You see how crazy that is? 57.4% from 2007 and 2018. God damn. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna keep this very brief. I just have this video that I want to get through. Shit. I just want to get through this video really quickly for you guys. And then after that, I'm gonna open up the panel to whoever wants to come on and share their stories or share their views. Yeah, I'll share the link in 1 second, you guys. Don't worry, I'll share it in 1 second. If you feel me, or I'll play half of the video, and then you guys could come through. I'll drop the link in a second. Just bear with me. This minute, I swear, is like 3 minutes long. It's not that long. It's really like short. So check this out.
Rise in suicide attempts by Black children. NBC's Rahema Ellis now with one mother's heartbreaking message. And we want to note, if you do have youngsters in the room, some of what's discussed is troubling to hear.
Little dude, so happy.
From birth, 7 was his parents' joy. The child doctor said Tammy Charles couldn't have.
You're a miracle baby, huh?
Absolutely. I told him over and over, Daddy and I love you so much. And this is something that we always did.
But last year, at 10 years old, they lost him to suicide in their home in Louisville, Kentucky.
We teach our children about stranger danger or guns or any other type of outward hurt that we try to protect them from. This is one that I was blindsided by. My 10-and-a-half-year-old son, my miracle child, my only child, was dead.
A study commissioned by the Congressional Black Caucus shows in recent years, self-reported suicide attempts by Black teens increased by 73%. The rate decreased for white teens. Black children younger than 13 were twice as likely to die by suicide than white children.
Really shocking.
NYU professor Michael Lindsay led the study.
Why is this happening?
I think we have to talk about the racism and discrimination that is prevailing in our society. That trauma, I think, is engendering a sense of hopelessness for kids, wondering if their life really matters.
Tammy advocated for her son, trying to get him help, and worked with his school after she says he was bullied, called the N-word, and choked on the school bus just months before his death.
I miss most his smile. I miss calling his name, and I miss hearing someone call me mommy. That is what I miss the most.
Nationwide, Black and brown children are less likely than non-Latino white children to receive mental health services. Philadelphia psychotherapist Salima McNeil is trying to change that, raising money for free counseling for families of color.
We really want young folks to know that they aren't alone. Now more than ever, our folks are actually open to the healing and willing to get the healing.
Healing for Tammy is sharing her son's story.
If you don't have children, or if you do, tell them you are loved, you are important, and if there's anything that I can do to help you through, please tell me, talk to me, please.
Hoping other parents never experience her pain. Rahema Ellis, NBC News, New York.
Hey.
And we good. You know, I'm gonna drop the link for those that want to come up and express what's on their minds, and we can have an open dialogue about how y'all feel. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I really, I try to. What do you mean, 12? Well, I mean, if they tried to go through the school to get a, hold on, let me highlight this. I mean, well, it says in the vid. How is it BS? I'm not understanding how it's BS. That's weird. That's weird. How is it BS? I'm puzzled. How is this BS? Hit the link. I'm not understanding how this is BS. That's confusing me. Yo.
Big bro, I call you my brother, like real talk, man, because you treat me like you my brother, and you treat not only that reason, because you treat me like I'm your brother, and you treat everyone with open arms like they're your brother. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I know dudes out here giving air all, we kick shit. So I know dudes out here giving all these other dudes flowers. But my guy, I gotta give you your nuts, your pecans. You feel me? I gotta give that to you. I gotta salute to you. Cause that's why I come over here, man. Cause you actually do what you're talking about. And I'm furious, man. No one on YouTube that I'm subscribed to has did a Black History Project this month yet. Now I love the content I'm subscribed to, but I'm not. Now you personally, you do this every show. Like you support, you talk about it, you do what you say you do, and you every show. You know what I mean? And don't take like man, I ain't talked to nobody in a minute, but at the same time, when I did get a chance, I was like, people need to do a Black History Project. It matters. You know what I mean? We matter as people. So it's like I and it's strange because Brownsburg, I kid you not, I was having this conversation, sort of speak, with a family member earlier, and it's like at the same time, like we may feel like we don't matter, but at the same time, in a way, we do because who we watch and look up to the most, in a strange way, you never know. They watching us just like we watching them. You know what I mean? We watching
Right.
TV, but they on TV watching us doing what we want to see. So they know just as much as we know about them, they know about us. You know what I mean? So on this note, man, I salute you. I consider this as a Black History Project, and I salute you, Brunsberg. Yes, sir.
Appreciate that, bro.
Yes,
Appreciate that.
sir.
Because I mean, like, it's too much stuff that hits to home, right? And I just feel like, it, because I tell people all the time, this is not gender war shit. Like it's not like, my time is like, well, it's all about the men, screw the women. My whole entire thing is just to say we have to tackle certain subjects that, like I got family members that's younger than me, right? And so when it comes to crazy issues about people wanting to delete themselves out of society, especially us, that's concerning because I've had conversations with dudes that want to delete themselves. So I'm just like, that hurts me because I'm like, yo, like you be smiling, we laughing and this, that, and the third. And I've known people who's come to me, or I found out somebody's family member from a friend was like, I can't take it anymore. So I definitely, thank you. But I just think that, in accordance to this conversation, I think it is very important because if we don't tackle the issue and understand like we do need to heal, you know what I'm saying? Like there's never going to be any progress where we're uplifting men, young boys to become efficient men because they're always going to feel down. They're always going to feel like they're defeated and they have no reason to be here. And I was like, no, you have a reason to be here just like I have a reason to be here. Maybe you don't know what your purpose is yet. Maybe you don't know everything that you need to know, and maybe you're bogged down because in this society is so into job, or finances. Maybe other parts of you rule better than finances, and then you come back to it and be like, cool. You know what I'm saying? So there's different components that needs to be issued. But when I found out that shit about a boy that's 10 years old, and then Regina King's son, it made me feel some type of way. Like, yo, we need to talk about this. This is serious, bro.
I agree. And not only that, man, my life changed since that happened. Like, I feel like a lot changed around us too, man. So it definitely need to be talked about and not ignored. Cause like man, you Brownsburg, like man, we only two men. Yeah, we can salute and say, do good, be good people, go out, live your day, live the best of your lives. But we only two men. We need more. But that's why I had to salute you, man. Give you credit where credit is due because man, yeah, it's hard to do it on your own. And yeah, you can get discouraged, but to continue on what we're talking about, we matter. Like people matter. I donate, Brownsburg, and you know what I donate to?
Mm-hmm.
youth homicide, like not homicide, but youth suicide. But in a way, it's both. You know what I mean? Because it can become what it is, what's happening, what we see. I ain't gotta really state that we know, because homicide, suicide, that explains itself. So why I donate it? Because it can change a person's life, because they do matter. Because it can affect a family member, as you said. You know what I mean? This shit matter to me. And then it's Black History Month, so I'm really furious. You know, I've been on a, you know, I've been behind the scenes just checking out everybody, but I ain't saying that because I've been furious, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. And you and what you doing, bro, it's so amazing. You underrated. I gotta get this shit out. You gotta hear me out. You underrated because what you doing, it's not being done on YouTube. And it's crazy because like you my partner, like I look at you as my brother, like my friend. You know what I'm saying? But you doing some amazing shit. And it's not being done. I'm subscribed to so many people, Brownsburg. Of course, I'm furious. It's Black History Month. All we ask for is a Black History project. Encourage your youth. Not only that, nah, just for everybody, because we matter, bro. You know what I mean? But yeah, man.
Let's dig into that though. So when you say, you know, the Black History Month project, do you think that also it comes with the idea of spreading the awareness that's happening around our people today?
Definitely. You gotta honor it. You gotta get somebody an honorary. You know what I mean? You have to a Black History Month. Reason why us as Black people, we will not get this shit no other time throughout the year. It's the perfect time to uplift someone because we never did that ever in this culture of Black history, Black lives. Like we don't do that. You know what I mean?
I think the problem was like we're so used to trying to like I don't think it's wrong to notice the accomplishments that a lot of, you know, so-called Black people have made throughout, you know, history, right? Especially past slavery times. I don't think that's wrong. I think that we have to kind of like paradigm shift into getting into the history that's earlier, because they give you those textbooks for a reason. See, I say it all the time when it comes to public school and the school system, they teach you what they want you to know. They're not gonna they don't want you to dig further than what you can learn. You know what I mean? And luckily for YouTube, you can learn some real shit on here. You know what I'm saying? If you're, you know, even though I really like to, and I've been lazy on it, but I was like, you know, we gotta get back to that reading. We gotta get back to like, yo, who we really are, right? And because if nobody is gonna teach us, we stay in that mindset. And like I said, it's been perfectly set up where, you know, us as men are under the belief no matter what we do, we lose, and that's not true. That's so not true. I refuse to believe that. And so before a second, before you respond, David, you're more than welcome to come on a panel if you feel comfortable of talking about it. If you want me to put this stream on private, I will. If you're comfortable with having a conversation, that's cool too. I mean, it's up to you, but the stream line is open. I also did invite 12 to give her perspective because she said it's BS. So I'm not understanding what's BS, 12. So if you can alert what's BS to you, for me, that'd be great. But yeah, man, like I was saying, like it's just one of those type of things where, you know, I'm all about awareness, and a problem that dudes are usually talking about. They have a failed defeatist mentality because they feel like, you know, the women of our nation gave up on us, but to a certain degree they did. But at the same time, you know, they want to get riled up when they see things like, you know, Biden putting in the Black woman as Supreme Court justice, or the fact that more Black women is getting more attention than Black men, where I'm just like, look, if that's how they feel, and if it's all about them and it's not about us as well, screw them. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not with them.
Let me say this real quick. I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let them come up too. I know I'm harsh. I know me and Brownsburg, we hard on y'all. We don't mean no harm, but we just trying to encourage y'all to do better. It ain't nothing wrong with that, and I'll leave it at that, Brownsburg.
Got you.
I'm still up here rocking with y'all.
Yeah, you good, bro. 12 is up on the panel. Peace.
Hi, peace. Happy Black History Month, everybody. So what I was saying is that the report that you shared with us said that the young man had been bullied. He had been choked, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm saying that I would have also liked to have heard what they had did to try to address how his peers were how they were interacting with him, since there was an issue of bullying. What was done, because maybe he would have needed to be transferred out of the school. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like they was specific, like who was bullying him, why were they bullying him, you know what I mean? And then what was the steps made? Because first, they're always trying to act like, okay, they're trying to have this intervention now, where they have conflict resolution with children that are being bullied, right? And I didn't hear any of that in the report. And when a person feels like they're trapped, they don't have a voice, they don't have any advocacy, like they can't get things resolved, then look how he's so young. It's horrible that someone so young felt like that was the option to kill themselves.
Okay, I get what you mean now. I think it's kind of like, it seemed like certain aspects of the report was kind of like that key ingredient in the issue was kind of like swept under the rug, like, oh no, you know what I mean? Like, it was that, but after that, was there really any progress that was made from the situation? You know what I mean? Like,
like why he felt like he had to commit suicide. Obviously, he felt like there was no other option. Like, he was trapped. Why?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
He's so young.
Yeah, he was only 10.
That's crazy. It's a horrible story. That's horrible. I feel sad to think that somebody that small and that young could feel like that trapped, that they got to kill themselves. Oh, sad.
It's really crazy to me because, I'm thinking about my life at 10. I wasn't thinking about that. Like, I was just thinking about like whatever it is that a 10-year-old and those times would think about what a 10-year-old would think about. So it's just like, when I hear that, it's like, you as a kid, you're not thinking nothing like that. And it's like, just, and grew up in that whole entire time. Maybe I'm different because I don't think I really got bullied as a kid. If anything, I probably did the bullying, but we ain't gonna talk about that.
But from the report, it said that ages 10 to 14 are doing it. So that means there's a lot of children feeling this way and going that route. I remember there was a story.
I don't mean to cut you off. I'm gonna say it real quick. I think it's upon us to donate and do our part at like that and try to do our best so it don't happen again. And I'm sorry for cutting you off.
Yes, I had saw a report about a child that, due to social media cyberbullying, she killed herself. Like, she hung herself in her bedroom, that's outrageous still, because so she has that much time and was able to do that. Nobody noticed her in a home. She did it in her home. It's like this kid, he committed suicide. It's like, it's so frustrating. I mean, it's never okay to hear about suicide, but when they're in their home setting, and family is there present, it's just so sad.
It's really crazy because I think what it did, I do think that social media kind of enlightened it, right? So it's like, even when I heard a report a while ago, like a couple of years ago, it was a teenage girl at a high school that decided to commit suicide because she had had sent some nude pictures to this guy that she was interested in, and maybe they had sex or this, that, and the third. And that guy took that picture and showed it to his friends or this, that, and the third. And, all they got around school. And, basically she was, out there for the, students to see. And that prompted her to just be like, I don't want to live, and this, that, and the third. And I think teenage years is very common for suicide attempts. It's very common. Yeah. And, I think it's very common because an expectation is met when you come into your teenage years. But like with a kid, very impressionable. And that's what I think it is, because kids and teenagers are very impressionable. Whereas when you get into maybe your mid to late 20s, you're just kind of like, I don't give a fuck what none of y'all think. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't bother me what y'all gonna say about me because this is who I am. So there's a lot of molding that's taking place when you're in your early childhood years, when you're trying to be very impressionable and make sure that you come across as this, that, and the third. So you care what other people think. And then the thoughts to yourself is very introverted instead of extroverted. And so it's just really crazy to hear that You know, at 10 to 14, I would never imagine. Even the kids that I was around, you know, maybe we might have got distance school or this, that, and the third, but we never thought about that. So it's just like, you know, damn, like, what is the serving drive? Because we can automatically say, oh, it's social media, but it has to be something else. It has to be something else. And specifically, you know, I've known kids that became more depressed because of the pandemic, because they're not able to see their friends. They're not able to socialize like that. They got to be around their parents all day. You know, luckily they're siblings maybe, but they didn't have the chance to really, like, you know, socialize like they wanted to. And it's just like once they get back to school, it's still kind of isolated. You know what I mean? So what is the factors of it happening before the pandemic as well? Because we're talking all the way from 1991 to 2017.
It's heartbreaking. No lie.
It's heartbreaking.
I got an idea though on Brownsburg.
Right.
What we do on these iPads and pads and phones, you put an educational course on it before they can be able to use it. Tough loving. You put an educational course on it before they can unlock the phone to even use it. They gotta get their diploma on the phone before they can use these iPads and pads and phones, man.
Oh, so you trying to be a teacher before?
Hey, man, it can only help. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody got access to it. You know what I mean?
But you know what? I would since you went on that topic, I would award this as well, right? I would award a mental check-in. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, set up an app on the phone. Because it'd be tough though. If you set up an app on the phone before they unlock it, be like, how are you feeling today? Or do you feel great? Put a star, or, you know, do like an emoji or this, that, and the third. And it just has like a celebration of like confetti dropping all over the phone before they unlock it. You know what I'm saying?
Their top friends from school, bro.
Yeah, exactly. On, with the top friends, but like, let's just say they say, oh, not well, not okay, or meh, or this, that, and the third, and blah, blah, blah. It can leave in a quote, or it can leave in some type of like, you know, I'm still happy for you, or this, that, and third for coming forward, so that those children know that even when it comes to the technology itself, it's programmed for that child to still feel like, oh, everything's cool. You know what I'm saying? Because we already know that technology these days is the new parent. It's a new parent. Let's be real about it. Like, technology these days is a new parent. You should see my family members that's younger than me. Oh my God, damn it. They'll sit up there, open that damn iPad or that phone and be watching YouTube hours upon hours, or sit up there watching Roblox or this, that, and the third. This is a new parent.
But that still doesn't address the fact that the child that was highlighted in that interview was choked. They did say he was being physically. So even though we have a social media aspect, he still was being physically abused, and it's a possibility it wasn't really being addressed effectively. Just like with the girl who got the pictures, maybe if the parent put her in another school in a different district, if it was an option, she might felt a little better, or even would have been her, at least give her options. Like, I believe that when you give a person options.
Let me slow you down a little bit, 12. So what would be your suggestion though? Because we got to make suggestions at this point. You know what I mean? So just asking, like, what's a suggestion you think? You know what I mean?
Well,
because we agree with you. I definitely agree with you.
I feel when we talk to the child.
No, go ahead, 12.
I feel when you talk to the child, if the child says such and such is bullying you, the first thing you have to do is try to address it, right? First, you ask them, well, can we all meet together? Because sometimes the person doesn't want to confront the person. So once the person doesn't want to confront the person, we have to go back to, why does this child feel like they can't speak for themselves, right? Because maybe we can offer them self-defense to something. If something's wrong, once the child doesn't want to confront any issue, right? So we talk to him, they tell you what's the problem, then we try to address the problem in their voice, right? What they want to do. Because if you don't want to meet the person that's attacking you, we got a problem, right? So then maybe he needs, because we don't know, he seemed like he had a mother and father, but maybe they weren't that involved, right? Because, you know, we always have that mother crying, and then you have the young man saying, my mom's wasn't all of that. You know what I mean? So just the appearance of caring and talking doesn't mean that that's really there, right? So we got to know what's going on, because once a person does not want to confront somebody that's doing something to you, we got to know Okay, so let's go back to the drawing board. What do you want to do? And if he says, I'd like to go to another school, try to support them in transferring them.
Not gonna lie,
but
12. That's
I'll
what my
throw
mom did. They transferred me.
I'll throw
That's
I hate
good.
that. I don't even think it's a caveat. I shouldn't be saying that word. I swear, every time certain people say certain words, I pick up on it. I'll be like, yeah, this is a new word. Let me stop that. But I'm gonna throw this scenario in here though, because this is the one thing that I'm not really understanding. JMANz, I got you in a second. Peace, bro. But I'm gonna say this. Why? Okay, but this is also, we have to also understand personality types too, right? Because I'll even throw myself in the ring. I'm very introverted. I don't, certain things, I'm more of an independent thinker. Like, I'll get through this on my own and I'll just be chill and this, that, and the third. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's my type of thing, right? But what do you do about children that's introverted, right? Because what if it was that scenario? We don't know the whole story, right? We know what was broadcasted on the YouTube video, right? So, my thing about it is, what if the child was introverted? He was the type to be like, oh, well, he's more quiet and this, that, and the third. Now, what would be a call for that? Now, are we sitting up there saying that we want to see what the wellness of our children are? So, I mean, I would throw like this scenario out here, like, what if it's one of those sort of things where we go ahead and say, let's have a meeting every week, but make it fun. Not try to make it seem like it's an interrogation, or it's like one of those sort of things where we're like, oh, well, what are you feeling like? We make it fun. Obviously, we know we have yoga, we have games, we have specific like things we can use mentally to go ahead and make a child feel good and feel like they can open up. Like I said, there's certain things I knew that I like, even now sitting at the age I'm at, that I just knew that I'm introverted. Like, I don't like speaking to my parents about certain things. It's just me. But if I felt the need to, I push out here. So that's why I'm saying, what if the child was introverted?
Right. So if the child is introverted, since that is a thing, right? We don't have to change that. That's their personality. So then what we could do is suggest that we move the seating in the class, like change up the seating.
No, but I'm talking about at home, 12, at home. But you have to, because if the child decided to delete himself at home, then obviously he just didn't want to discuss it. And if we found out later that he had all these conflicts in class, then how is it? What is to do then? That's why I'm saying the introverted stuff has to start at home, though, because if you don't have
not only at home though, too, at school too, Brownsburg.
But that's what I'm saying. But hear me out though, because at school, a lot of issues they go in at school they don't want to take when they get home. So the thing about it is, when they get home, they're just like, oh, well, I'm at home. Well, I'm not going to talk about it because it's at school. And what I talk about that goes on at home, I'm not going to talk about that goes on at school. So that's why I'm saying, like,
that is
calling right now. I'm going.
And matter of fact, hold on. Let's do this. 12 respond, and then I'm gonna let JMANz go in.
The fact that you may feel comfortable at home is a good thing, right? Because the stressors is at the school. So when the child is at home, if the stress is not there, then we want them to identify the safe space, right? So if they don't have the stress there at home and they're not demonstrating any kind of problems in the home, they're not talking back, they're not acting frustrated, then that's their safe space. So, okay, we know that at home is their safe space. Maybe homeschooling would be an option. You know what I mean?
I get what you mean. I'm gonna get back to that thought. JMANz, what's good, man?
Oh, Bronzebird, how you doing?
Can't stand you.
Oh, come on, Bronzebird. We go all the way back.
You're part of the Pink Nation, bro.
But no, Bronzebird, don't say that. Don't you dare say that, brother. Don't you dare say that to me.
Peace, JMANz.
What's up, man?
What's going on, man? So I don't know if you was peak the time to look at the video, but I wanted to talk on mental health and the whole thing that I'm starting to realize there's an increase in suicide rates, especially Black boys. So
well, even though I'm not Black, I do know what mental health in a negative manner can do, and I think when it comes down to is some people just feel a little bit like alone or whatever, and they feel a little bit kind of not secure with themselves, and that's why some of them, like the rate can always lead up to more than one race having suicidal thoughts, and probably succeeding in such a manner, but which is terrible to say the least. I don't condemn anybody to even, or I don't endorse anybody to try it. But at the same time, it's a mess. I'll tell you.
Yeah, just because I just seen the rates and it's just like, it's crazy what's going on, especially like, the schools. And I think also y'all, like, because I don't really think I had this in the schools that I went to, right? I mean, maybe high school, but college I definitely did, but like middle school, we didn't really have that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't really have the ones you can go and see and, you could talk if you got an issue or this, that, and the third. Like, parent-teachers conference. But parent-teacher conference didn't mean shit. It was just kind of like, how's your child doing when it comes to academics, but how is he or she feeling mentally? You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those sort of things. I'm just kind of like, well, more elementary school should have a program where they have like a little separate period for about 10 to 15 minutes, meet up with the child individually or this, that, and third. You set up a date each time of the week or each time of the month, right? And they'll be able to speak with that professional and be like, well, how are you feeling? What's going on? And blah, blah, blah. And they got a text, they got a phone number in case they need to call and all these different things so they can speak about what they're speaking about. Let me give it over to TR.
We definitely got to reward more. Like, these kids working hard, they going through the same things we going through. I got nieces and nephews, trust me. We got to reward them more. We got to stop being so tough and hard on them. So they going through a problem, they come home, tell us about it. Okay, cool. Give them a task. I gave my niece a task one day. She did it. Okay, cool. You got time to do whatever you want. It's free time now. You know what I mean? Tough love, but in the right way. You feel me, y'all? So we definitely got to do more rewarding. You know what I mean? Because it go a long way. Show them that, like, if you do right, you get what you want. You do the right thing. But when you mess up, okay, it's back to them books. It's back to tough loving. You know what I mean? Your ass ain't gonna get to do nothing you want. But it's calls for sometimes. You know what I mean, Bruns?
I get what you mean, but this is a tough part on that subject too, right? Because there's another kid, this time an Asian, who decided to delete himself because he got a B- in a subject, right?
Damn.
So because of the expectations from his parents, or because let's face facts, I think that there's been Asians that felt pressured because they're supposed to make the A's and the B's in the classroom. They're not supposed to get anything under that. So if they feel like they feel their parents, it's like, oh, well, I shouldn't be here. And I think that when you focus on academics too much, you're not allowing that child to breathe. You know what I mean? But the only problem with that is these school districts, specifically in California, which is a video I did, they want to get rid of failing grades, in which I'm like, I don't necessarily agree with that, because it's supposed to teach your child to want to go hard to get a better grade. So now that you have this Asian kid who deleted himself for getting a B-, or it's the mother and the father sitting up there saying it's okay that you got a B-, you're doing the best that you can do, or you might have had a problem in this subject this week. So the next time you have a test, you're better prepared, and we're gonna help you prepare, and we're gonna do everything we have to do to make you feel good. So there's a lot of, children go through enough pressure already, right? We're already talking about dealing with other children, but then you're also talking about the fact of the matter, the teachers and what they're assigning them. Because you don't like all the teachers in school.
Brownsburg?
Yeah, go ahead.
So what's the outlets you think, bro?
Outlets in terms of what?
So what I spoke on, the being tough love.
Rewarding them?
Rewarding, yeah, outlets.
It's a good proponent. I wouldn't say that is not something that should be used for children. It should, right? Because let's just say the child, like, even if we're going off the mental space, if the child goes to mom, right? Let's just say the 10-year-old boy goes to his mom and say, hey, I was bullied in school today. I was choked by a child. And, in her natural ability, she's going to go to the school and handle it. But we should start where it should be like, thank you for coming to me. I reward you for being honest with me. I want to get you ice cream. I want to get you something sweet. And I mean, let's be real. Children are a sucker for candy, sweets, and all this other stuff, right? So you reward the child for being open with you for something as sensitive as that, where they'll be able to feel comfortably like, well, you know what? Even though this happened to me, my mom has my back and she supports me and she's going to come to the school and address the issue. And what happened when I was a child, when I had a conflict with another student, my mom would want to set up meetings with the child's parent so that we can come to a resolution about what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like my parents would be like, look, yo, you got a problem with such and such. Brownsburg don't like that. So we're going to set up with Brownsburg and the student that he has a problem with. And we're going to be able to have a sit down conversation. Maybe we get some food. We go out to a restaurant, but we want to resolve this issue. You know what I'm saying? So that was something that was done in order to kind of just be like, okay, cool. Instead of, because I see on social media a lot, you have the parents, whether it's the father or the mother, they'll be like, yo, I see you put your hands on my child. I'm going to fuck you up. And that is
that's not effective.
You know what I mean? It instills worry in a child because you got, let's just say it's a 6'2" man or 6'3", or let's just say it's a muscular dude that's 5'4" or 5'5", and he ain't taking no shit, and he's muscular as hell. He coming at your daughter or your son and be like, yo, you mess with my child, I'm gonna fuck you up. They ain't gonna have a positive reinforcement out of that because now they're gonna be scared shitless when you come to the school. You know what I mean? So I mean, we like it's certain ways you have to react off of that. And I mean, yes, I do agree rewards is a part of it, but there's a lot of reward systems we have to have for children nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, 12 and JMANz.
I had a question for Try Baby. So Try Baby, when your mother removed you into another school, did it help?
Hell yeah, my grades got better. I'm doing well off now in college. I'm a college student,
great,
well-growing entrepreneur. It helped a lot because I was on the wrong path, you know. Not alone. I chose the wrong path, so my mom seen that, and she was like, "Yo, if you can't do this at this new school, I'm not gonna keep." Because she did it a bunch of times. You know what I mean? She's like, "It's not gonna keep going on. I can't do this forever. So it's gonna get to a point where you got to make it up to yourself and say." Is this the crowd I want to keep chasing and doing bad, and then also letting them do me bad? Or do I want to keep transferring and running away from my problems or get it together? You know what I mean? And when she told me that at the right age and time, with like 16, 17, I'm like, yo, just broke down in tears where I could understand. It's like, yeah, I got to get this shit together. My life going to be horrible. You know what I mean? Once I got it together, I'm blessed now. Like, I'm well off. I ain't got to worry about nothing. Like, so I thank my mom to death for that. Like, because without her, I'd be dead, out up, and don't know only outcomes, you know.
But
I'm not gonna lie about that.
But when it comes to the example of the Asian kid that wants to like get all A's.
Yeah.
When we think about that, we don't want to not push the kid because we don't want them to be mediocre, right? So we don't want them to get so laid back because we're like, okay, we're not gonna, okay, we see that you're getting overly stressed, but it's such a balance. Like it's trying to find that balance with your kid because you don't want the kid to be so laid back that now he doesn't push, and then you don't want him to push so hard that now they're devastated if they don't get, excellence in everything. Nobody's perfect, but it's still, it's sometimes I find, for me as a mother, especially, I find that the balance can be challenging to find with that individual.
And I'm gonna tell you, 12, that shit hard as hell. Like I got nieces in there. This shit hard. I'm not gonna lie. Being a parent, I ain't even a parent yet, but I know it's hard because of how bad I was and how good I turned out because of my mom. And she did it my way, but kind of like what Brownsburg was speaking on. And to say this also, Koreans and Asians, they kind of got a different background. I'm just gonna say that. You know what I'm saying? Because like, yeah, North Korea, you know how they get down. Like they so strict, like can't nobody even go over there. So it's like we gotta thank God for our blessings, what we do have, because when we don't got it no more, yeah, it get real, especially when we hit 18. So it's like, it's tough, it's hard, man. I'm not gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. It's hard.
I agree.
JMANz?
I was just busy doing something. You said something. Catch me up to speed, so that way of what I could retort with.
Damn, man, you supposed to
I was busy.
Smart.
I was
came
busy
in a
doing
little
something.
late, bro.
I've got priorities, man.
I get that. Now, I was just saying, like, you know, my earlier comments was like, you know, there should be a reward system for children, even if they feel like, you know, they want to come to their parents. Let's just say something happens to them, or
Oh,
in this case, like they got choked out by a student. You know what I'm saying? Like, you
I get
know,
it.
they're comfortable now having a, you know,
You mean rewarding kids despite, you know, not doing anything yet, right?
yes.
Well,
Well, I mean, in regards to if they feel comfortable in order to say an issue that they went through, like, you know, I finally came through, said what I had to say, blah blah blah, I'm good now, you know.
you know, I think you're going somewhere with that. I just think, you know, when it comes down to it all depends on the kid itself, you know, depending on if you know, if it's not just good grades and all that, it could be just, you know, pure heart, I believe, because sometimes, you know, you don't expect everything to get handed to you on a silver platter, but then again, surprising someone like that, it could actually, you know, do some good in the long run. Ain't gonna lie about that.
Okay.
But at the same time, I mean, like, as long as the kid's not shady, you know,
What do you mean shady though?
like if you think that the kid is being good for now, and all of a sudden you find out at the last minute that that kid's been doing a lot of stuff in school that he or she shouldn't be doing, and then you find out about it, and then you get disappointed, then just always, you know, keep your guard up of, you know, don't always like think all the time it's all going to be good, you know, because again, it could tend to bite you, you know.
Well, I mean, I
As
get
long
that.
as long as the kid comes home, you know, with good grades and all that, and no reports of, you know, bullying or someone or whatever, then yeah, I guess it's okay to have free rewards every now and then.
Well, I mean rewards as in like going over this extent of what happened to the little boy who decided to delete himself at 10 years old. Well, what the situation, if he felt comfortable enough with his mom per se and say, hey, look, listen, I was bullied at school. I would say, oh, no problem. I would say you reward that child for coming to you to have the conversation about him being choked. Now it's going to be a little bit weird because it's coming from an angle like, well, you're rewarding me for being choked. Like, no, that's not the reward. The reward is you being open enough to come to me and say, hey, you know what, at least you came to me and we're going to sort out this issue together so that we can make your experience at school better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I mean by reward. You know, now if it's your child being on some bullying aspect and he's doing stupid stuff, you know, then obviously you don't reward them, you punish them so that they can learn not to do that. And, you know, you're inflicting harm upon other students. Obviously not. What the hell am I going to be giving you sweets for if you've been sitting up there teasing little Timmy in the classroom?
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
Why would you beat little Timmy?
Yeah, like little Timmy.
Do it for Tiny Tim.
Tiny Tim. like no.
God. But yeah,
You know?
I get what you're talking about now.
Yeah, so that's what I mean by rewards, because you need to feel good for that child to be more comfortable, because just seeing this report and saying like all this stuff is happening, what is the problem? Is it social media? Is it the classroom itself? Is it the pandemic? Because only the pandemic is only a small notion in time. We did a report saying from 1991 to 2017. So for that to increase over 57%, something's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because of decrease of education, or maybe the children or the teachers just too rough, or their teachers is coming with their own thing. I don't know. Because I mean, even still, children might feel pressured from the teacher because the teacher might have a teacher's pet, right? And they might feel like, yeah, you know about that. And they might have a teacher's pet where they're like, oh, well, they don't say it like, oh, this is my favorite student. But that as a child, like, oh, well, they don't want to, I'm trying my best in class and I'm trying to learn. And, every time I raise my hand, you're kind of giving it the point to talk to them instead of me. Like, it's so much stuff, like, so much pressure.
Yeah.
And kids are very impressionable. So that's why I say it's like for them, it's harder on them because they're trying to make a good impression as a child.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried to do that, as a kid myself. But then again, given with, like disabilities or whatnot, which I'm not going to make as an excuse. I'm just saying that as an example, because again, not everybody's going to understand you. But at the same time, I just know that at the end of the day, I, growing up, I never, intend to have everything handed to me on a silver platter. But at least I know whenever I do something, at least I know I'll get something good out of it, as long as I stay true to myself and true to others along with my family.
So was as a child, you didn't feel like pressured in the classroom or anything? Did you feel like it was okay? Like, did you feel like you had your parents to go back to?
Well, it came down to school. I mean, I was never in school for long. I mean, I was mostly bullied, in a way where I had to be pulled out, because I think it was probably because and yes, the teachers were bullies too. I'm not gonna lie. But at the same time, I was like, under the impression, man, these little notifications here. Hold on, something's going down. Hang on a second. There we go. Now I got that taken care of. Now, so basically put, I went through a lot of pressure trying to be a good boy in class and all that, and try to be a good kid. But I think most of it was, to the extent where I was, it was just, very hard for me to try and feel like I'm, not being able to do what I can until they were exposed for that,
Right.
You tend to have bullies everywhere, and it doesn't matter if it's just another kid. It could be another teacher, and they could try to mask their their ways of doing it.
So the reward system for your parents was like, take JMANz out to school, and was it homeschooling?
Yep.
Okay. And see that's a solution to the problem, which I definitely do think was one of the solutions that was offered earlier in case the children do that. And I mean, I think nowadays anyway, a lot more people is homeschooling their children, or trying to find homeschooling. But when it comes to states, they have different branches on like what's acceptable or not. And certain states can be completely asinine and ridiculous on how they want to regulate like what is cool for homeschooling, what is not homeschooling. Should you be able to, should you not be able to? Like, but I think it is a valuable solution. Or I would say you have a community school, right? People in the neighborhood, they have children, and you guys formulate buy some property or something like that, and you have a school where you guys set up your own curriculum about what you guys teach.
I think at the end of the day, it just all depends on how you approach the situation. And if it involves like switching schools, that could be one thing. But still, I mean, the task will get harder for the kid though. But if you do homeschool, I mean, you better be hoping that you'll dedicate yourself to be a teacher to said kid, or otherwise you'll tend to fail.
All you gotta do is give him some packets, bro. Yeah, play it. It's going to take more than packets, but I mean, no, I get what you mean, right? It's just that this is, right now, here in America, it's a serious problem. And what I've noticed in school is just like everything is so pressure based. Like, me being in school, like I felt as if like, well, early on, like, I just hate it. I'm not going to talk about myself, but
no, this is your channel. This is your channel.
Of course. But I've noticed, like, my time in elementary school specifically, right? It was one of those sort of things where it's like low key, I felt like I'm the underdog. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't really like I was really bullied in my school, right? But then at the same time, there was pressure from certain teachers, and then my experience being a young so-called Black boy. It was certain shit that was said to me from a particular faculty member, which, I didn't really take it in hindsight. It was really mean and cruel. And, so many of these successful stories, like Muhammad Ali, he had sat there and went back to his teacher and showed them, like, I'm successful now. What is it? What was the guy's name? There's somebody else that did. This memorable thing that Biggie said in the song. High school, my principal said that I wouldn't amount to shit. That was one thing that was said, right? And then it was another one, I think, that gave flowers or gave a gift to their principal every year just to show them, like, hey, I made it. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of like, when I talk about psychological issues too, a lot of these teachers and a lot of these principals come in with their bullshit rhetoric as well.
Yeah.
And they inflict that shit on children and look down upon them and think that they're motivating them, but they're not. And that's disrespectful as hell. I'm paying all this money for my child to be in a school, and you sit up there down to my children, and I'm at work minding my own business. Like, who are you? You know?
Yeah.
And so I see that, and I'm just like, those things live with adults as they get older. It's something you don't forget, because that's a pivotal moment in where you feel like, hey, either I can tackle the world, or because this person said this about me when I was little, I ain't gonna be shit. And I've known too many stories from people, expectations like, oh, you just get F's in my class, or you fail, and you get all these grades, and then or teachers would be like, oh, well, they're handing out tests, you always get a C to an F, but they never really call and sit you back and be like, hey, look, listen, I notice you're not really doing good in my class. What could I do to help you understand it? You know what I'm saying? Like, what could I do to help you, make you understand a subject more? Because I feel like, you're not interacting with us as much as you should, you know what I mean? And that would help the child be like, okay, well, shit, Miss Rodriguez, you're finally paying attention to me, and instead of leave me in the fucking dumps because I can't understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's very important for things like that for me to see, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, something needs to change on that forefront,
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I know you home, like, so what do you feel like? Well, you did say that you got homeschooled, right?
Well, I did for a time until, like I got held back because like mostly it was mostly my fault, but but at the end of the day, I could understand, and my mom, a sweet lady, having to take care of not just me but two other kids, I mean, like, I mostly, failed myself in a sense,
Well,
but because I didn't, caught up to what grade I was supposed to be in
but how is that
homeschool.
on you?
Because, at the same time, if I had gotten the urge and the willingness to do it, like actually do it, then maybe I would have gotten caught up, and because sometimes when you're homeschooling, sometimes, the parent can't always be there to, to be the teacher. Sometimes you got to go through the books,
Well, I mean, obviously you develop
Have you ever
time.
heard, you've heard of homework, right?
Of course I did.
That's
literal homework.
That's equivalent. So, I mean, something you do yourself, and sometimes the parent can help you, but not, cheat or help you, get through stuff that or whatever. So, and at the same, but in 2012, that's when I got diagnosed for mild autism, and it's been 10 years. Like, it was actually 10 years ago on January 4th when that happened, and then after we found that out, I dropped out, and sure, I'm not the most, like, I may not be the most intellectual savior of the masses kind of person, but at least I do my own thing, and I try to help society in any way I can, even if I don't have a degree. I mean, I'm still me.
Well, the thing about it is, I never set limitations for those that might be diagnosed with something, right? The thing about it is,
no. I don't consider. I mean, like, limitations, one thing, but as far as I'm concerned, at the end of the day, I could have done it, but at the same time, I guess with my lazy boy mindset, I chose not to.
I mean, it's a given. I mean, at the end of the day, like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like literal home court advantage. So of course you're gonna be like, well, I'm in my house, so blah blah blah, and this, that, and the third. I mean, I'm not saying it's an excuse, but I mean, I get it. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't say, of course, there's you would say, I want to try harder, this, that, and third. Or I could have tried harder. I mean, naturally, that's life, right? Like, certain things, oh, I definitely could have tried harder than this and this, that, and third. But, obviously, everything is a learning experience, and it's great. You know that now. That's the whole point, because life is always that progression, right? But
yeah,
I think a lot of people, we also don't have this discussion either. Who are diagnosed with like an illness or a learning disability and this, that, third. You have a lot of like geniuses and a lot of like professional or people who sought these like elite careers, and they've been diagnosed with a type of illness or a type of a setback. You know what I mean? And that I mean, it does get highlighted, but it doesn't get highlighted because I think it's very important because even knowing someone who has Asperger's syndrome, I remember this kid. He was awkward. This was when I was in college. He was awkward, but he could play his ass off when it came to instruments. I forgot which instrument it was. When I tell you, he was sick when it came to playing instruments. He was sick with it, and so I think I always want to point this out. Like if it's a setback or something like that mentally, that still shouldn't deter you, right? That still shouldn't be something that deter you. Now to other kids, because they don't know that, they're obviously going to go ahead and bully you about that. Or maybe it's different now. I remember growing up, it was probably different for me. But, it turns to those setbacks. We know now, like, I'm a special, it should always be one of those sort of things. Like I'm a special kid, not in a bad way, but to say I'm gifted way beyond what you think. You know what I'm saying? Like that's one thing that I really would instill because, I can get into the studies. You said autism?
Mild autism.
Mild autism. And I'll tell you this, JMANz, and this is a study that's been done now. I might be speaking anecdotally, I might be not, but the studies was that autism has increased specifically between so-called Black kids and so-called white kids. So it's been increasing. But I know medicinally, maybe this is quote unquote conspiracy theory. Maybe it might be not. I don't know. But I don't trust these doctors a whole lot, especially when they're telling children they got to get all these shots when they're young, because something is a correlation, and something is a little bit. It's not adding up to me that you have kids in general, or specifically Black and white kids, developing autism at this rate. Like something is going on, and that's why I'm just like very wary about certain medicinal practices in terms of children as well. I'm just naturally wary of that because
I mean, like, and it's so funny that you bring that up is that it's been increasing with whether it's white or Black or even in other type of skin color, but if there's one thing I will tell you that I have seen, and I kid you not, the only rarity I have ever seen is a Black kid with Down syndrome. I'm not kidding you. That is the most rarest thing you can ever see.
That is true though. Yeah. I don't know too many. I don't know too many that has Down syndrome. Not really at all. I usually hear autism, or they have a learning disability, or like I hear
that's another thing. And that's another thing I had that help me back too. A learning disability, and I forgot to add that in, but I just didn't want to be too dramatic about it. But
no. I mean, you had what you had. I mean, I'm not shaming. I know many people that have told me, even when they was a child, that they had to go. They was enrolled in special ed classes, and then they wind up being like a professor or being some type of professional or this, that, and the third later in their adult years. So no, like I mean, it's an open season to talk about that. I think it's very important to let that out. Because too many times that learning disability also gears a child into being sad or feeling depressed because they feel like they're not like a normal kid. So with that being said, they feel like they have to overact more than themselves. Number one, and number two, they still feel like they have to fit in with other children just because they take different classes or because they have a learning disability, and this kid doesn't. So. It's one of those sort of things that I think, we have to. I think the school system, and I don't know, because school system nowadays they're doing all types of crazy ass shit with children nowadays. But I think one of those sort of things that they should definitely put into a curriculum is also trying to figure out a neutral path for children, regardless of their learning disability, being able to cipher in on one class where we all can get along, right? And they're not separated in at least one to three classes where they're able to just be like, well, I can get along. I have a learning disability, but this is my friend. He's normal. Certain things like that should be put out in the woodworks, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, so that's my good on that. Peace, Nick. But yeah, man, like I would definitely say it's always great. I mean, JMANz is always good that, people like you will come with your stories and your perspective, because too many times we have to feel like, well, I come from greatness, or, my story is, everybody's trying to come up with, like, certain people is trying to come up with a facade, and so there's definitely certain things in me. I'm just naturally introverted, so I don't like people really knowing my business like that. But
Right.
naturally, if I really wanted to be an open book about certain things, I would. But I think in terms of this, the whole entire thing with quote unquote suicide, deleting oneself out of society, something's got to give. And I think that when it comes to the school system, what are they trying to do to change all these different things that's happening? You know what I'm saying? Because especially public schools in particular, it being state funded or this, that, and the third, they could just go ahead and enrich any type of curriculum and say, hey, your child is in a school, so whatever. But it's never that real, like, deep convo. It's never that real deep convo into just like, yo, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Private school, maybe, and then maybe like parochial school, Catholic school.
It's kind of funny you say private school. Let me tell you something. Does a private school have other, other kids there and other adults?
What do you mean by that? I mean, I went to a private school, so I can tell you.
Well, did they have other kids and other adults there, like teachers and whatnot?
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
I'm just asking a question.
What do you mean? Like more like what? Like they had like a bunch of different teachers?
No, teachers, employees, and other kids there. Did they have like that there in a private school where you went to?
Yeah, I mean, private school, it was just that private school had less students within the classroom.
I know. I just think, it's kind of weird that they call it a private school, but yet there's nothing private about it because there's a lot of people that know the area.
Well, that's not the reason to be a private school. The private school has to, it has to do with funding. You know what I mean? Like it would be more of an independent funding, or, there's donations or there's other things that come into it for it to be a private school. The same thing with a private college or a private high school. It's around the same narrative. But that's the reason to be. But in terms of private school, their curriculums is probably different than a public school. I'm pretty sure of that. I wouldn't know. I didn't go to public school, but their curriculums would be different, and they would probably be more focused on a child emotionally and academically, only because it's a smaller class size as compared to a public school where you're averaging about 20 to 25 students within a classroom. So you can't get to everybody. You just think, oh, well, this is their names and they sit in this seat, so I can only teach them this and this, that, and third, and I pick out who raises their hand the most compared to the others, So that's one factor.
Yeah.
But what when you was in school, did you go to a public school, a Catholic school? Like what type of school did you go to?
Well, for a short time, I mean, I did go to school like somewhere in my area. Yeah, I'm not gonna say much about it because I don't want to give out too much information. But I will say that God, trying to keep my train of thought. I think what it came down to is that once I was getting bullied way too many times in like 3 or maybe 2, I think it was 3 different classes. And then all of a sudden I would be put into a private type of school, like it was like a private session type of deal, like with the teacher.
Oh, so it was like a 101.
Yep.
Okay.
And then that's when my parents decided to take me into homeschool mostly. I think they try to find something temporary or whatever until they got something, situated.
I think in my experience, to those in the chat, I like Catholic school. Catholic school taught me to be more well-mannered. I don't know what it is. And then especially because, not really a religious aspect, but because, I like the Bible now. Catholic school definitely put the battery in my back to kind of just want to learn, more about, God and all that other stuff. But I mean, Catholic school, just the mannerisms, you know, it saves you a lot of time sitting up there picking out clothes too, because you got a uniform for the week. You don't gotta worry about you don't gotta worry about like trying to figure out which clothes you're gonna wear for the week and stuff like that. You got your uniform. You be like, let me get my tie, my khakis, my chinos, my shoes. You know, I gotta make sure I look professional and this, that, and third. It's a way about Catholic school that I'll never forget. Thank my parents for this. Something about Catholic school, it puts you in a manner where you're like, look, I gotta make sure I'm like this. I'm coming out, you know, a respectable manner. You know, I'm not with all the new fashion, but you know, I mean, in my school, I'm not gonna lie. I tried to wear the little illest new sneakers that came out, but it had to be all black. But they'd be like, you can't wear sneakers to school. We still did. We still did.
Yeah.
We still did. I mean, but still, I definitely do think Catholic school helped out because I mean, it didn't help out a lot with my wardrobe, goddamn. But Catholic school definitely did put you in the mindset of like, you know, there's a decorum that you have about yourself when you act upon teachers or you act upon not necessarily students, because, you know, kids are kids. Whether it's like, you know, whether you're, you know, an adolescent or you're in your teenage years, kids are kids, but the interactions is different. But like I said, I've never been in public school, so I can't really speak on public school experiences. But, you know, I definitely do think private school for me definitely put me in a different mannerism, you know, today, you know, especially me being introverted, I'm more likely to want to listen to someone, or, you know, when it comes to like work, I'm like, you know, I'll listen to you. This is what we got to get done because of such and such. Well, mannerisms, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me read this comment. Private school is no better than public school right now. You would be better off paying a teacher tutor instead of spending your money that way. Well, I will say this. I've had a conversation on this before. School nowadays is way different than how it used to be. I wouldn't even necessarily how I came up, right? You know, my whole entire thing about it is it's like, you know, schools is just really weird to me nowadays. And especially, you know, I do these videos and I look around like what's going on in the news. Like it's really weird. It's really weird how schools are nowadays. I will say that. Let's see, Nick said, there do exist charter schools, which are independent public school with the freedom to meet students' needs. I have a little bit of a quarrel with charter schools, especially where I live. Something's up with charter schools that I don't like. Charter schools are lottery in New York City, and every child that wants to attend can't. I don't like that about charter schools. Let me say my piece on charter schools real quick, especially in New York. I do believe that when it comes to charter schools is that they operate like real estate. They take a lot of these public schools, turn them into charter schools, and then try to put out a lottery to go ahead and akin themselves to lower income parents so that they are able to sit in this lottery and be like, well, your child would be lucky to go to this charter school. Charter schools have a lot of like, there's a lot of red herrings. Well, not red herrings. There's a lot of like weird things about charter schools I'm not feeling. You know, I think they operate like real estate agents. They go ahead and they see a public school, turn it into a charter school. So I'm not really digging on charter schools. There's a lot of mishaps I see with that. You know, and the curriculums is that, you know, I mean, yeah, they put the children in uniforms and all this other stuff and blah, blah, blah. But the curriculums, though, what is the curriculums that's actually enriching the child? I don't know. I know someone who went to charter school, so I can say that. But, you know,
yeah,
you know, charter schools, I ain't really too fond of like that. Yeah. Otherwise than that, I don't know. What else is your thoughts, JMANz? I mean, I don't know if you got anything. I don't think you've ever known it. I think charter schools is pretty much new, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, they've existed, but like they're not.
Well, it's another type of spectrum, not just the autism spectrum. It's charter spectrum or whatever, you know.
Well, charter spectrum meaning as a curriculum, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the curriculum like that. Like I know they try to make themselves like well-mannered when it comes to charter schools, but you know, I'm used to Catholic school. Catholic school was the number one place you put your child in. You know, they come out different. Some of them inspiring to become a damn pastor or want to go ahead and work in a Catholic church. You know, they had the pews. Let's see. But yeah, I get what you mean. But I mean, in terms of learning ability, I will say this, J-Mans. You and I both know, regardless of learning disabilities, that only embarks on the fact of the matter that you're special as a child. And I'm not talking about special as in demeaning.
Yeah.
Special because of the fact of the matter, a lot of people don't understand, like, children with learning disabilities and all this other stuff, like, they never know that people don't know that those children be having some crazy abilities when it comes to certain talents. They just have to hone in on it when they become older. You know, and I know what you, J-Mans, your joint is gaming, you know, so I know you're able to you're able to embark on that and exceed at whatever level you're at when it comes to gaming, regardless of your learning disabilities.
Yeah. And I'm just, wanting to get further in life, not just in my channel, but also, to try and, succeed in other stuff. Like I've got other projects that I want to do that, regardless of, any disability, I want to do things that benefits me and possibly others too. I'm not tend to be a selfish person, but I do want to achieve things, even if it's for my own self-interest, but also to be fair with other people.
Right. And I dig that. You know what I mean? I notice our encounters, you're like, well, man, you so quick to apologize, and I gotta warn you. I'm like, J-Man, what you apologizing for? Let it rock. But no, not to put your business out there. I did notice you did say you wanted to also get into book writing.
Yeah. I've been thinking about doing, doing a novel, and hopefully that novel gets adapted into a manga, and then that manga will be adapted into a Japanese anime. It's kind of like, like how Dragon Ball was, once a manga and then it got adapted into an anime.
Oh yeah. Look, listen, I'm a visual person, so I would definitely like to know when that book comes out. And especially when you get through the publishing and all this other stuff, it's going to be a process. But I think the most important thing is now making sure you write out your manuscript and making sure that I mean, at the end of the day, you doing what you love. That's all I can really say. That's the main thing, I don't know if you want to answer this question from 12. You can if you want.
Sure. Sure.
Does J-Man have an IEP or was placed in special education in public school?
I think the way my disability was, I wasn't, like special ed special to the point where I was, I mean, I can communicate properly with other people. I mean, that's no problem. I think it's just the fact that my parents, like, I think mostly my mom didn't know what I had at the time. I guess that's the reason why I wasn't placed in mostly like a special ed type of school. I was just, switched in different, classes that had the same grade, at the time, but it just didn't, just didn't work well, because again, teachers, bunch of pricks.
Yeah, teachers can be total pricks, man. I have so many not really horrifying memories, but I know what specific teachers I knew was assholes to me.
Like
just assholes in general.
Like, and it's so weird, bad is the fact that I remember this about a couple years ago when I was talking to somebody. I'm like texting someone on my phone, and I was, it was like I think I had like suicidal thoughts without knowing it when I was like putting like a timeout for no reason at all. And I kid you not. I mean, like for some reason, like that was like, what they do. That's what they did. They wanted to, like, it's like as if everywhere I went, whichever class I was in, the teachers was always the bullies, and I just think that was just kind of saddening, to say the least. But the fact that I had these thoughts really could really bother a person, like, and like I was like in my head, like, why me? Like, why can't I, like, where's my mom, and all that stuff. That's, again, I did not think about it at first, but when I remembered it immediately, I told my mom, and she felt a little bit, felt a little awful about it, but at least she was proud that I was able to, be open with her, of what was going on.
No, no, and you know what? That's a good thing that you were able to have that conversation, right? That's why I know it's like very important when it comes to parenting and wanting to become. It was me as a man wanting to become a father if I did or if I would want to. Knowing about suicidal thoughts, that is a serious issue that again, that's not really talked about, regardless of whatever age, because what I realize is now your mind, like when you have thoughts, dude, yo, Garcia, on the real, it's not time for that because this is a serious conversation. But going on the real, when we're talking about that in particular, hold on, I'm sorry. But on the real, when we talk about that, like your mind is really something, right? It's like it's a machine that can make or it could break you.
Yeah.
And I noticed like even when, I was not feeling so great myself, all these crazy ass thoughts come in like, Bronsberg, you should think like this, or Bronsberg, do this, or Bronsberg, do that, or Bronsberg, you didn't do this today, so you feel like shit. I'm going to make you feel like shit. And it's one of those sort of things like, why? Why am I thinking about this? Like, why is this on my mind? Why is this something that is even occurring right now? Like I could be on cloud 9 and then all of a sudden it starts being cloudy in my world and all these crazy ass thoughts is coming in and it's like, wait a minute, what? Like why is this happening? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I definitely understand the context of like suicidal thoughts because that's extreme. Like, it's all these haunting thoughts like, do this and do that. If you end it off right now, and it's like, no, like I don't want to end it off right now. Like I'm good. So why are you here? You know what I'm saying? I totally get it because one thing I also want to practice. I already kind of practice this, but I think for everybody, or if I can be a lead in service, with my channel, how to counteract your thoughts, right? Try to find ways of, kind of, because let's face facts, we're not going to always be happy-go-lucky and great. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be days.
No, there's going to be, there's going to be like,
and that's the great thing. You have to balance it. That's why I'm just like, allow the idea of you being sad in, but how do you counter it? Or allow the fact of the matter that you're mad to be in, but how do you counter it? Because I never say that you have to be the happiest person in the world. I just say you have to be content. That's so you can allow both sides of your emotions to wave out. But at the end of the day, the focus is to get to your best self. You know what I mean? So the suicidal thoughts in particular, that's an extreme. Because why is your mind trying to train you that you shouldn't be here physically? Why is your mind doing that? So I have to do studies on that, but I definitely would like to put that out in the atmosphere one day on a panel.
Yeah. And for the record, when I was thinking those kind of thoughts, it was like I didn't know I had suicidal thoughts at that time, but at the end of the day, I look back on it, and even though it didn't look like I was trying to say it in my head, it still felt like, they were thoughts. No doubt about it.
Right.
However, at the end of the day, I really do like opening myself up like this, and I don't have anything to hide. I really don't. I just, like mostly what I do with people, like, I know I've done a lot of things, on YouTube that I'm not proud of. But one thing I am proud of is at least I'm able to pick myself up and dust myself off and then focus on what's next, kind of like I did when I was pulled out, of school. And I'm really thankful for that, in a sense. I mean, sure, I didn't get to have a normal life in a school with other kids that may have been more, intelligent and maybe more normal than I could ever have been. But I am blessed with the life I have, so I can't really be complacent.
Well, J-Mans, when I think about when people want to bring up the past or my mind gets to the past, I always start to think like this. It's like, what's today's date? And you ask me what today's date is. Today is February 27th, 2022. Why did I bring that up? Because I'm focused on February 27th, 2022. I'm not thinking about what happened last week or what even happened yesterday, right?
No.
You know, when you have that mindset, a lot of things become clearer because you're focused on the present, not the past. Now, the thing about it is I could also say, and I know for sure that I said some things that I should have never said, or I've done things that I'm not proud of. Yes, I get that. But I always embark on it like this. Even like I said, somebody can bring up something like Bronsberg said something on a panel yesterday, or he argued with such, or he called this, that, and the third a name, right? But I'd be like, what's today's date? And as long as I say, what's today's date? They'd be like, oh, okay. Because now they know that I don't care. It could, like I said, it could be yesterday. It could literally be yesterday. I'd be like, damn, I was wrong for that. But what's today's date? And that's exactly the mindset I think all of us should have as well. You know,
2/27/22.
Exactly. It's still a palindrome, which is about to end like in a day. 2 days anyway. That's crazy. We only get that. I don't know how many times we get that because the last time that happened was 2011. So the next time we get it is 2033.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna read this last comment, and I'm gonna read these last comments from Pure because Pure will always be dropping some facts in the comment section, and then I'm gonna get on out of here. Yeah, I am so unbothered. That is true. If you have the money to keep kids home, advantage are number one, you feed your children nutritious food and food that's adequate to food allergies, no worries. I agree with that. Especially I see the things that's going around in my city. Mr. Eric Adams wants to sit up there and put out a vegan program for children, and not everybody is vegan. So I don't inflicting veganism on children. Nah, don't really dig that. Number two, you can do field trips you choose with your child. Yes, that's true. You can take them to different places, especially take them on a vacation outside of school, let's say spring break or all the other stuff, and you guys can create your own holidays. Number three, and their friends. 3, gym, you can put your child into any sports you and your child choose. Yes. And number 4, if you're religious or have spiritual beliefs, you can keep them intact, gelling your child at home for education. Yes, absolutely.
Keeping not gelling phone
charge my word.
Change my word.
Yeah, I didn't even know what gelling is.
I thought I didn't know what that was either. I was thinking like, what the hell?
That's a cool ass word though. Are you
cool?
gelling your child?
I mean, oh my god, that sounds bad.
You're spreading your child out to different curriculums. That's how you gelling your child. But yeah, dude. You meant keeping Pure? I think that's what she meant. Keeping intact, keeping your child, not gelling your child. But look, listen, I'm gonna steal that. This is gonna be a special word I use in a Brownstone Powwow. Make sure that you're gelling with your friends and gelling with your child.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna get a lot of hatred for this one, but hey, it's okay.
Hey, I dig it, man. Like as long as it happened today's date on the palindrome 2/27/22. We was gelling on the stream.
Yeah,
I'm spreading out my knowledge to everyone. So
you were spreading out that knowledge, all right, with that gelling. Oh yeah,
I definitely was gelling on this stream for real.
Lord,
I got it. But yeah, you know what? Thank you, J-Mans, for coming up, giving your perspective.
Hey, no problem.
It's always enjoyable. You know, I might have to lift your sanctions on being within the Pink Nation and going to the nation now. You know, you might be allowed into the club. We just got to stay clear of Mr. Melendez. So,
oh, damn, son.
Oh, damn, son. Not the Mickey Mouse bullshit.
I got no problems with that guy because I mean I think he's a good person at heart.
Yeah,
but as far as you know, for the culture boy, I'm telling you, he's trouble. And I don't know about you, but I'm just gonna say this, and I know Bonnie's watching. Bonnie, don't risk it. All you're gonna
do. This girl ain't watching my stream. She ain't watch much. She don't be watching
Oh,
much
she'd
like
watch.
that.
She's lurking. I know she is. I can
Oh,
tell.
please.
And
She
but
don't-
I'm just like saying,
Yeah.
don't do that interview, or otherwise, whatever he's gonna say, it ain't gonna be the truth.
Well, I mean, I don't, but I think with her, she's smart enough to know what's going on with him.
I know. I'm just trying to be funny while I'm doing this.
She lurky, but she won't come up on this panel though, so we won't talk about that. But anyway,
Well, if we were talking trash about her, then she'd want to come up here.
yeah, I know. She did. She's like, well, y'all was talking about me, so I had to defend myself. Like, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. But yeah, man. Thank you, JMANz. I appreciate you a lot, man.
Yeah, you
Real.
too. I'll
Right.
see you on later, man.
All right, man. Peace out, bro. Peace. And there you have it, folks. Another successful Brownstone powwow. We got to the nitty-gritty of the conversation. Awesomeness. Next week, we're going to be talking about the barbershop. And if you know what I mean when I'm talking about the barbershop, you know what I mean. Safe spaces, you understand? More of the likes of that. But you know how I do before I get out of here. You know the vibes. Before I get out of here, I play my music. So thank you guys for coming up for another Brownstone powwow. Until next time, peace.
Now I see differently. Yes, I do. I see things a different way. And I got this different feeling from a small earth today. I swear to God,
Thank you.